garden in our show house to talk about bulbs. And if you saw our Facebook post yesterday, you saw that we asked which was a true bulb out of Dahlia, gladiolus, lily, and anemone. Well, it turns out the right answer is lily. And if you weren't sure what a true bulb is, we're here to define that and to tell you why. So Sydney, let's get started.
So a true bulb is really easy to tell once you cut it in half, which we have done here. The interesting thing about a true bulb is that it has all of these layers that surround this shoot here in the middle. These layers are actually fleshy leaves, and that's what's storing energy in a true bulb. You might be thinking this looks a lot like an onion, and you're right, because an onion is one of the most common bulbs that we see on basically a daily basis. Other true bulbs include lilies, daffodils, and things like tulips. So Heather's going to tell us how we can tell a true bulb from those other things like rhizomes, corms, and tubers.
So as Sydney mentioned, sometimes when gardeners say bulb, they're really referring to more than just true bulbs. Sometimes they're referring to other things like corms, rhizomes, etc. And an easy way to tell the difference, if you're willing to dissect them, is just to break them in half. So let's start here with a tuber, This is an oxalis tuber. It's pretty small, but I'm gonna go ahead and break the tuber in half. And if you can see, there's no layers. It's not covered in leaves because in this case, the storage tissue is not leaves, it's actually a stem that's underground. So another example of an underground storage stem is a rhizome. This is actually a bearded iris. Now rhizomes are more horizontal, often branching, but they're also underground storage stems. Another common example of a rhizome that we see all the time is ginger. And this is our example of ginger. It doesn't look quite like what you see in the grocery store, but I promise if you rub it, it smells like ginger. The reason this looks a little bit smaller and different is because this actually came from our conservatory. We grow ginger here at the garden. And one more structure I'll mention is a corm. Another underground storage stem with a little bit more of a vertical orientation. My example here is a really fun one. This is an Amorphophallus cognac. It's a close relative of one of our most beloved and most famous plants here at the garden, which is the Amorphophallus titanum, Carrie the corpse flower. And this cognac is a pretty large corm as corms go, but Amorphophallus titanum, those can routinely be over 100 pounds. So really, really big. But at their core, it's the same general idea. It's an underground storage stem that, much like a true bulb, stores energy for the next year. So there's a lot of different plants that have this similar strategy. Now Sydney, talk about why these plants have the strategy and how it helps.
Sure. So like Heather said, there are lots of different kinds of underground storage structures that help plants grow. And you might be wondering, why? Why would a plant choose to grow something like a bulb or a corm instead of a regular root system? And there are several good advantages to having a bulb-like structure that we see here. The first one is that everything the plant needs is just in this tiny little package here, and it's ready to go just as soon as the seasons warm up. So it's storing all that energy underground from season to season, and as soon as that first warm day comes in the spring, these bulbs start to be active and shoot up. That's why the first flowers we usually see in the spring are things like snowdrops and daffodils, because the bulbs are ready to go. Another advantage of having a bulb is that they're staying underground, storing that energy throughout the season, so when something like a drought or extreme heat hits, that adverse weather doesn't affect it as much because it's got everything it needs stored up already. And lastly, one thing that gardeners really love about bulbs, like I said, it's everything needed that that plant needs to grow. So you just simply put this little package in the ground and it'll start growing.
So if you are really excited to start planting some bulbs, make sure to check out our fall bulb sale. It's happening now through October 9th. You can shop from a selection of really unique and interesting bulbs and corms and tubers, and you can actually tell the difference now. And if you're interested in learning more about how to care for and plant your bulbs, we have a Zoom class coming up on October 1st where our Director of Education and Horticulture, Kelly Norris, is going to be walking us through some of the fun selections from our bulb sale and also a demonstration on how to plant and care for those bulbs to get really good results. So thank you for joining us again for our Plant Fact Friday. As always, if you have questions or ideas for future weeks, make sure to leave those in the comments. And thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.